God morgon pojkar och flickor. Good morning boys and girls. Welcome back to War and the East 2, Turn 3, Soviet Union, end of turn setup. As you can see here we have Stavka, which is the main headquarters of the Red Army. And these days Shukov is in command with an average of 6.8. I think there used to be another leader in an earlier version. And talking about leaders, before I forget it, we're gonna go into showing off the size of the army early in the game. If you played this game before, it's not gonna be anything surprising, but I just wanna show anyone that maybe not so familiar with the game how strong the Red Army is at the early stages of the war. But in this turn I was very lucky with a leadership change. As I mentioned before, if you're lucky or unlucky, a bad leader that performs poorly and has a lot of losses, he might get arrested and executed. And this time the 4th Army commander Korobkov was arrested and executed, and instead I got Vatutin, and he's an excellent leader. And I think Korobkov was one of my worst leaders, because the 4th Army is actually down here, setting up near Cherkasy, and was supposed to be the leading army, elite army in the south, remember? That was setting up for a counterattack southwest of Cherkasy. So that was incredibly useful for me. I don't know how much it would have cost to replace him, but I got maybe 10, 12, 15 points for free for leader replacements this turn, basically. So a very lucky turn for the Soviet human player in this campaign. But with that said, so that out of the way, let's go to the overlook. There's a couple of ways you can show off your entire force of the game. You have this graph button metric screens, which is Shift M apparently. I never used the shortcuts. Shift M, see if that works. Yeah, that works. And here you have a bunch of different graphs. So we're gonna check the total men order of battle, and that means 4.8 million. That's our entire Soviet Red Army force. That will be on the map, in the reserve, and in the Far East, Transcaucasus and Northern Front. So you can see down here by the minimap, there's an NTER. Northern Front contains 275,000. It's an off-map holding box for air and ground units. You can move troops back and forth unless you lock them in a setting when you start the campaign. The Transcaucasus has 239,000. Far East is the largest box. It holds 643,000 and 2,000 tanks as well. The reserves we're gonna examine now. Why can't I click the reserves? There we go. It's 1 million men and 2,000 tanks, 12,000 artillery, almost 7,000 airplanes. So if you total that up, that should add up to 4.8 million men. But on the map as a whole, we only have 2.5 million right now. And then we have another million in reserve, training for higher morale and experience. And how to show exactly what's in those pools? Well, either the reserves, if you click the ground button here, you can see all the divisions and land artillery units, anti-tank units. That's a lot. Or you can go into C. Is it Shift C or just C? It's just C, which is the commander's report. This is one of the most useful buttons or commands. So if I wanted to show you the entire Soviet reserves, I would click off map, and then I would go up to TH box, and I would click off all other except Soviet reserves. And you see that 1 million men showing up here as well. So 322 units. Okay, so what does this consist of? Well, the main force here, of course, going to be the infantry divisions. So I unclick all other sorts, and I click the infantry divisions, and we have 42 infantry divisions consisting of over 500,000, so more than 50% of the forces. So I have 42 infantry divisions waiting to get out on the map. Why I'm not deploying them right now? Well, because some of them already have the maximum national morale of 50, so they can't go higher in the reserve, but they can train up their experience, and I want them to have a little bit closer to 50, which is the maximum. You can train up to your maximum, your current morale, and they train fast in the Soviet reserve box. So what I'm doing here basically is waiting for them to reach 50 morale, then I could, in a desperate measure, put them on the map, and it takes one turn. But if the closer they are to 50 morale experience, the better it is. So I guess I don't have any good divisions to place on the map because I already ordered them. They all are already set to enter the map for the next turn. I think I've ordered 7 new divisions to get on the map for next turn. I might be wrong. 6 of them appear in Leningrad. So anyway, that is my current force is 2.5 million, and I have another 1 million training. The rest are kind of stuck as garrisons in off-map theater boxes. So with time, and another factor of course is how much can you fill up those divisions you have on the map. Well, that depends on your logistics phase. No, production phase, is that it? Production. Down here under production tab you have manpower pool, and you can see that we still have almost 400,000 kind of off-map manpower that are able to reinforce your divisions. So that's another 400,000 you can increase your on-map forces with. So I guess if we had 2.5 million, we have another 1 million in the reserves. That's 3.5 million, and then we can chug in 400,000 manpower. So that's 3.9. So kind of now our current max on-map force is 3.9 million. And if you compare that to the Axis on-map forces, they are at 4.8. So we're going to reach, and actually in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the same as the Axis have in total. There isn't a way to mapman Axis. There isn't a way to like change how many the Romanians, Hungarians, the Axis miners have, how many are Germans. But I think, is it in the death ground losses? That's not it. There should be a map info. There should be a button here somewhere. This one? Okay, here it is. The first button up in the top left, show order battle screen. You can also see that on map forces is here at 3.3 million. That is weird. That is not 2.5. A 4.8 total forces, that makes sense, right? That number, and the reserve makes sense. But this is lower than 2.5. Anyway, Germans consist of 3.5 million on map, and the Axis are 1.2. But you can't see the individual forces here. Like, should be 500,000 Romanians or so, 500,000 Finnish. I don't remember. Maybe if you play the Germans, you can see how many Axis. Here as well, you can see the Far East, 643,000. Here you can see the theater boxes as well. Alright. Now we're gonna go from north to south, and we're gonna show the different fronts, how many troops they contain, and I'll just draw a little front line because I enjoy using my Epic Pen tool. Looks cool. And we're not gonna do the combat at the end of this video. I'll do that in a separate one because I think there's a few things I want to check out on this turn as well. There's a lot of overlays here. Anyways, the Leningrad front is one of the stronger ones on the map. It contains 391,000, so nearly 400,000 men. And it has fairly high quality forces as well. Not an elite ones, but remember last week we deployed a bunch, maybe a dozen or so, 12,000 man divisions with 50 morale that are from the starting pool. And they are now all drawn up in a line that we are going to paint with red color here. So here's the main line now, and I managed to push back in a previous video a counterattack in this hex here with 6 divisions. So here's the main line of defense, and then we have a fairly strong behind the minor river in marshes and heavy forest. Here's another part of Well, that is actually the northwestern front. But then you can see we have a belt of defenders stretching up here towards Novgorod. So if the German AI wants to push up towards Novgorod, he has a bunch of different divisions lining up. And you might ask, why am I not stacking more on the front line? Well, against a human opponent, it can become painful because he might encircle just 1 or 2 hexes with a bunch of divisions in them. This way, he can only encircle 1 per hex. So it's a layered defense. And then I have kind of some mechanized as a secondary line here if it goes rather more north or northwest. So it's not as heavy to the northwest, but you know, if he goes that direction, I'm happy. I don't want him to take Novgorod early. I want to dig in a little bit more. I think I have 2 more forts that I built this turn behind Novgorod. The Germans are coming on strong. I don't know how much use I'm going to have on these early forts before they get overrun, but we'll see about that. What else did I do in the north? Well, you get 7 militia divisions, and I deployed them all in a fortification line, a couple of hexes outside of Leningrad itself. You know, you have 2 forts, and I put another supply depot into one of the forts here, and then you have 2 rough hexes here, and that means I only have 2 light forest hexes. Otherwise I have a nice terrain, and I might even fortify these with time. So they're on refit now, so they can get their 50 morale, and then they'll dig in. And once the German AI reaches here, hopefully I have a strong defense. And then, of course, this movement army down here is going to reinforce down towards Novgorod. So this is going to be my... Once I fall back, when I get pushed back by the German AI, this is how I'm going to end up my defenses here. And then I have a couple of divisions fortifying the inner ring of Leningrad as well. That is my final defense. So either the German AI... It has 120 morale because of the settings, so it's going to be very strong. So there is a threat that his very good first corps elite infantry division just pushes straight into the Leningrad urban city hexes here. So they really need to be very well fortified once they get there. But anyways, this is the strongest front. It's almost, it's about the 6th of the entire Red Army on the map. So should be happy about that. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Leningrad defenses because they're so extensive. Then the next front is going to be northwestern frontier. It's a rather decent commander, 4.1. What's his name? Kuznetsov. He's not lousy, but you know, he could be worse. He's not that good. Popov in Leningrad is better. And there's a lot of blue lines reaching out from me. I put a couple of Tallinn garrison and Ösel garrison and a couple of Ladoga Lake garrisons under this command. You know, I kind of messed up. There's so many order of battle headquarters commands to give these first couple of turns, so I kind of messed up a little bit. He has some long range, but anyways, his defense goes something like this. Some heavy army up here defending here, and then I have a corps under an army setting up here with some light skirmish defenses, 3 cavalry divisions which are weak, security regiments, and 1 weak infantry division. So this is a very, very weak line. But then down, I have another army down towards Veliki Luki here, with the depot and the railways coming together, and that army is fairly strong. So we're gonna examine the entire front has 284,000. Well, that looks impressive, but it's kind of spread up, and the quality is low. And the 8th army here is one of the main armies. It has a lot of Moscow militia that I railed up from Moscow, and also down here by Veliki Luki, and they're gonna refill or fill up this center marsh stretchy part of the line. And the long-term goal is, of course, to protect from the Germans reaching this rail line here. I don't want this one to be breached because it goes up to Leningrad and it goes back to Moscow. And I don't want them to reach these Valdai hills and fortify themselves inside the hills. Okay, that's a lot of drawing, but you know, whatever else they take, they're probably going to push me out of Veliki Luki. Okay, I'm fine with that. Then I lose a supply depot in a city, but as long as they don't breach the northern line by Lake Ilmen here and these railway lines, it really doesn't matter how much terrain they capture. So I decided to set up one more supply depot here in this area where two railroad lines come together. And the 19th Army here has a decent commander, some decent divisions, and 77,000 men. That's the Southern Army. The Northern one has much, it's green, remember? Green is the worst, orange is okay, and red is good in my setup, what I've done. It's only 3.4 command, but he's fairly strong with 86,000 men. So there are some good divisions setting up, and you can see that with the combat values. The defense values are 14, 36, and 14 because I have two divisions in the center, forest text. Okay, so that's the northwestern front. I'm not planning to reinforce them a lot more. I just want one small division or cavalry division in these marshes here. The Germans are, I have on fuel setting, so the pip, the little orange and red left-hand corner on these motorized units that I have some information on is red or orange. So they're gonna have quite low fuel because they've been rushing ahead. The supply heads of the German turn 3, I don't know, maybe it has reached Riga or something. What's the other town here? Daugavpils. So they're gonna be low on fuel. I don't think they're gonna be able to push very far or make a lot of encirclements. So I hope they're low on movement next turn. All right. The center is under the Western Front Command. That's a pretty shitty leader. I remember, what's the name of the leader? No, it's Timoshenko. And Timoshenko, I think, is the leader that was the Stavka commander in earlier iterations of the game many years ago. And I think it's historically accurate that Zhukov was the chief of staff at this time. So they made that change. And now instead Timoshenko commands Western Front. As a 5.2, he's probably the best front commander you have, except for Zhukov, of course, but he's Stavka commander. Now, Western Front is fairly strong. It has 382,000. However, the quality of the troops, let me show you the defense settings here. We have first these troops on north of Smolensk. They're not very strong. Some of them are okay, but many of them are just retreating troops from the front lines, from the border frontier, from the first couple of waves. So they've been fighting, they're low on strength, they're low on morale. It's not a very strong line. But then you have a bunch of red, high quality, some are very much elite, because they had this army, red army here and red army here. I'll show you these armies later. They're elite leadership, and some of these divisions are very good, some of the best on the map. And hopefully with these double defense stackings here, I'll have a chance to make some sort of a counterattack on a weak regiment or even a division. You can see at this motorized division here, it has only 7 in defense in open terrain, because they've been rushing hard for 3 weeks now, the Germans. Even the Germans, here's another one with 4 in defense. So, okay, so hopefully we can make some counterattacks. Then comes the worst part of the Western Front. This is down here. This front line it's pretty far away now, because I pulled back from the Dnieper River here. I can't hold it another turn. And I really need a week to dig down. I hope they can't reach me and hit me here, because look, these motorized troops here, they're very, very bad shape. And it's just not a strong line, but it's not my main area of defense. I would be happy to pull back from Smolensk all the way to Bryansk. So I have time to fall back from down here in the south. It is more of a skirmish line, a flexible defense that I'm willing to retreat, whereas around Smolensk, I will fight for every hex. And it looks strong now, and it is fairly strong, but I haven't sent a lot of reinforcements for next turn. I think only 1 division, and that might be a little too little, because remember the Moscow militia is not coming down here. It is going up northwards to the marshes north of Veliki Luki. So we don't have a lot of trash coming this way. I don't know what's gonna enter on map. automatic reinforcements next turn, but they're probably going to have to go to this sector here to reinforce. Okay, and the armies, this is the army I'm talking about, 29th Army. Has a very good commander, Tolbukin, he's one of the best commanders, 6.2 average, and this is the leader I replaced this turn. And if we just check the, okay, I probably should remove those lines. If you just check the infantry divisions here, you can see their morale is 68, 60, 67, 65, 68, 60. Very, very good divisions. And he can command armor as well. So he has some of the best armor mechanized divisions that are on the map as well, that you can put as reserves behind the line. So 29th Army, remember that. He's probably going to make a counterattack if he gets the chance. Okay, so then let's go to the center. Let's call it the center, huh? Homel and Chernigov are two cities here. And I have a single army. And it is the 21st Army under Orel. It has orange color, so it has a decent 4.1. Efremov, I don't know if he's a famous general. Let's see how many troops we have under him, 68,000. So there's some fairly low quality troops in this area. And you can see here, we still have stragglers. One army is straggling to retreat. I managed to get out of the pocket here with the last 6,000 man division, 155th Rifle Division. So I'm trying to slowly pull up these routed and struggling, you know, save some, at least some manpower from the pocket battles at the frontier. And because of that, I decided to keep this corps, this red command corps here at the major river. They have fairly low values, 4, 2, and 1, but they're in level 1 forts. It is a major river. You can see there, this is a tank unit. I don't know what this is. And we have marshes to the north, which are kind of hard to easily move through, and a major river. So hopefully their fuel is low and they can't encircle this entire red corps sitting on the frontier. I'm hoping that I will be pushed back instead of encircled. And then I don't have, these are not forces, they're empty divisions. So it might look like I have a lot of troops here, but they're corps headquarters that will get disbanded, and empty divisions. There isn't a second line here, which is dangerous. Yes, I have a division inside Homel town city, but that's all I got. And then I have a paratrooper corps holding a thin skirmish line down here. So this is a very, very weak defense in this sector, but I'm planning to fall back here. I don't want a lot of forces in this sector. I'm not planning to fight there. This is basically just holding back the spearhead mobile divisions, and once the German infantry reaches here, I'm just gonna have to fall back after I save these stragglers here. I guess I invested in a fort in Voronezh back here because I wanted to take out the division that was there and rail it up towards the front line. And I do have, if I remove this, you can see I have divisions in all of the towns behind here. They're not building a lot of forts, but they're building some, and I don't want to stop building forts in my cities. So I'm trying to keep one division at least, refitting and improving their morale. And when I pull them out, I put the fort unit in there as I get the political points to do that. Or APs. Action points? Is that what they're called? Right, then we have the southwestern front, which should be a fairly strong front by now. The Kiev Cherkasy defense sector. Let's examine it. We have the commander is Kirponos, 4.4, so he's rather decent. And he's got 300,000 men. Okay, wow, that's fairly weak, isn't it? And now, by now we only have 1,200 tanks as well. Remember, I lost an entire corps around Zhytomyr last week. That was very bad play from my side. I don't have a lot of stragglers. I have one tank division with 100 tanks trying to get out of here. Since it's routed, it can't move very far, and I don't think they are gonna get out. The reason I want to save it is because around a third of these divisions are modern and T-34s, KV tanks, and flamethrower tanks, OT-103s, 33s. So we'll see if he'll make it out. I don't think so, but maybe. And I couldn't move these divisions, the yellow ones, back. They only have 15 and 64 tanks in them. But, you know, they're gonna get hit so hard by all these German mobile forces here that it already hit me last week at Shitomir. So let's examine. We now have the 4th Army that I talked about earlier under Vatutin, 5.8 average, so a very, very good leader. Let's examine him. He's got the 7 morale. For the Soviets, that's excellent. He's got 6 mech and 7 infantry, 7 initiative and 7 admin. I mean, you only have a handful of leaders as good as this one in the Soviet leadership pool. So from the north, we have a forts and almost dead division, security regiments, and some airborne brigades. Inside Kiev itself, I have 3 understrength divisions, so around 20,000 men. But that's basically the only real force in the area. So this 1st army is very weak. So when the Germans come for Kiev, they're gonna break through. This is only a token visual defense. It's not really there to fight. I suppose I do have 2 stronger divisions behind here just to have some zone of control, so they can't break through and actually encircle me. But they're not gonna get this far in 1 week, right? Then we have the 4th Army, which is very strong. It is not really here to hold Shitomir, but rather counterattack at a target of opportunity. Well, if he goes north, this counterattack might be to the north instead. And then we have some skirmish defenses coming out. We have 1 tank corps sitting here. Yeah, it is to the... So this 25... Since it's gray, it has a mech leader. Oops, sorry. It has a mech leader, Krivoshain Semoin. He's got 6 mech rating, so he's one of the better mech commanders. And he's got 766 tanks. So... But the combat values are 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 4. So 1 good division here with 300 tanks. Yeah, it's not much of a force. Of course, they're not here to stay. They're just here to maybe slow down. I'm afraid all these tank regiments here are gonna hit these divisions. Maybe I should pull them back further. I need to... Maybe this is just wasteful to put them in the front line and have them smashed up. But on the other hand, there is a river here. You kind of want to slow them down. I watched a documentary, and I think they didn't reach Shitomir and Vinitsa until the 9th of July. Oh, we're on the 6th of July now, so maybe we're kind of on a historical data. I think the Germans are further ahead because I was not fighting and letting myself be killed further to the west, right? So I'm hesitant at how you manage the tempo of the Axis advance here. I'm not really slowing them down a lot. These couple of earlier turns up until now. But anyways, that's the Southwestern Front. It is partly very weak and partly very strong. And then east of that we have 2 armies under the... I'm just going to remove these battle lines. Under the command of Kharkov Military District. The difference between a front and a military district is that these can only hold 36 points of division, so they have half the command power. Very bad leader here, 2.8. Chernikov is one of these leaders you want to replace, but it's going to be quite expensive, 15 admin points. Admin points, that's what they're called. So I can't afford that right now. So it's better than nothing, but that's about it. And there's 2 armies, 162,000 troops, and they're situated... I'll show you where they're positioned. They're positioned from Poltava up here in the north, and then we have a fort line running down here. That's my fallback defense. And then we have a thin river line defense of half strength division here. We have this corps holding down to Voroshilograd. We have a division in Kirovi Rog. So we have 162,000 men as a secondary fallback, digging in, setting up for a breakthrough prevention, sort of So that's the plan here. Further to the east, we have a couple of new forts. I think I put a fort in Voroshiv, Lovgrad, and Taganrog back here. So that allows me to build. Every week we're gonna get a little bit of fortification value in these two towns as well. Then we have the southern sector. We are falling back. We were giving up the Dniester river line with the forts, and we're just running. And I managed to get 1.5 division into Odessa, so around 16,000 troops. Outside there's a 0-0 routed infantry division with 8,000 troops. If this 51st Rifle Division managed to rally for next turn, oh, it has 35 morale. It is so crap. Even if it routes, it is horrible morale. I need to pull it out. I couldn't move it further back, so that's why it's sitting here. And if they reach it while it's routed, it's gonna route again and run away. But it's coming from the front last turn, so there's nothing else I could have done. Okay, so I guess our defenders are actually the 16,000 infantry division and the Odessa coastal artillery fort, which is almost 3,000. So Odessa is very lightly held. But it has a nice red 2nd Cavalry Corps commander at least, and it has a level 3 fort. So we're not gonna give it up quite yet, but maybe I'll just ship these troops out to Sevastopol and run away. We'll see about that. Other than that, we have some 8 or so mountain divisions digging in at the entrance of the Crimea Kerch Peninsula. And what is the strength of the southern front? It's only 255,000 in total, and I guess I have some sort of secondary skirmish defense line here with a tank corps and a paratrooper corps, but it's not much of a defense. The main defense, and then I have, I'm starting to dig into this town here. But the main defense in this area is going to be the entrance to the Kerch Peninsula once the AI reaches here. So southern front is weak. Okay. Other than that is our defenses. Yeah, I guess I have 1, 2 more militia divisions. Either these stay back in Moscow and start digging in a bit here, or I rail them to the front. I guess I have replaced proper infantry divisions in a couple of towns here, Rzhev, Kaluga and Tula. They had infantry divisions refitting there. Now I moved up Moscow militia into these towns so that they can kind of occupy and build a fort, so I don't empty out these towns. So I would like to know what do you feel about my somewhat conservative fallback defensive settings, and also I have not spread out evenly along the line. As you can see, I'm focusing very heavily in certain areas. That would be Novgorod, Smolensk, and south of Kiev. Sorry, I can't remember. Cherkasy. And the rest of the line is very weakly held, and a lot of troops are training in the reserve pool. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think about that way of playing. So in the next video, we're gonna watch the Germans attack me. If you don't want to watch a bunch of slow-ass combats in this game, you can just skip that video and go to the initial thoughts and setup of turn 4. But with that said, wish me good luck during the combats that is coming soon. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.